The top 1% of SaaS companies aren't smarter than you. They're just better aligned. They don't waste time reworking concepts or arguing back and forth about different components or buttons. They lock in on one true product vision and run with it. If your product iterations feel chaotic or misaligned, this video is going to solve that hopefully once and for all, or at least get you a little bit closer to your dream outcome. Today, I'm giving you the exact system that I use so you can lock in your team under one unified vision, eliminate confusion, and turbocharge your UX velocity. Here's a reason why you might be stuck. You might have started at 0 to 10K a month, or maybe scaled that from 10K a month to 20 or 30K a month. The point being is that the challenges that you face there and the systems that you built during that period are probably radically different or not scalable enough to help meet you at the current revenue goals and the revenue goals that you want to get to. Early stage growth comes with a lot of hustle and experimentation, but now misalignment is what kills your momentum. One misunderstanding of a feature or a new initiative turns into wasted sprints, burnt out developers, and frustrated project managers. This ultimately is lost revenue for you. Now, let me give you an example of a recent health tech platform that I helped. Now, don't get me wrong, their product was brilliant, but their product meetings and the feature planning was chaos. Everyone thought they understood the vision at the beginning, but the designers delivered something that the project managers didn't think fit the ultimate vision, and the developers ended up building things that weren't necessary. The result of this was burnout, delayed launches, and ultimately wasted money. Now, here's a harsh truth. Most founders think they're in the product and tech business, but at scale, you're not in the product or tech business. You're in the product alignment space. The competitive advantage that you have isn't faster coding or better design or even a better workforce. Those are all great components and things that truly make a business great. But the defining factor that separate good businesses from great businesses isn't the speed, isn't the developers, it's your clarity. Now enter the strategic UX product thinking template. This one-page repeatable system fuses 3 critical lenses into one simple document. The first is the business lens, the second is the product lens, and the third is the user lens. Here's exactly how it works. Step 1 is the business lens. The business's problem you're trying to solve is, ultimately the biggest thing. So we're going to start with that. The second piece is the measurable outcomes. You want to focus your feature or your app entirely on activation, retention, cost savings. The metric is up to you, but labeling it is very important and will help you downstream. Your product differentiators are very important, and the stakeholder priorities are huge pieces for alignment. I've worked with a couple startups where the alignment was not aligned between the founders, and there were issues that happened later on as the app got toward the development piece, which ended up making us retrack, and it just was not good. And the last piece was, or is, if your app fits within a specific strategic growth plan. Does this fit in a quarterly plan? Does this fit in an annual? What are those objectives there? The second piece is the product lens. So what I want you to do is to take step 1 and apply it down to step 2, or at least keep that in your head as you work through the second piece. So the second piece, you'll start with the current state of your UX. So this is if you have an app. If you don't have an app, maybe work off of some wireframes, some ideas that you have. use anything you've got. But if you do have an app, this will be more applicable to you. So use the section here to look at any screenshots, any friction points that you might have noticed, any session replays if you track user sessions. Think about the constraints, the technical, regulatory. If you're in a legal or healthcare tech space, you have to think about HIPAA. And then lastly, are there assumptions about user behavior, and how are you personally going to validate them? Are you going to create something that might lead a user to a end goal? I would write a lot of these down, and when I find that when I work through this ends up becoming my hypothesis section, where as I'm churning through the ideas and working through the business objectives, this becomes basically the spot where I just label everything down. I put down ideas, things that I might consider happening with the user or might want them to go down that route. The third piece is the user lens. Now, this is a framework called Hum that I learned from Eric Schumacher, and he put this together, and it's huge help in terms of just mapping your users clearly. So first, you want to define your user types. That could be admins, that could be billing specialists, clinicians. What are their primary goals and their emotional states? They could be like frustrated, overwhelmed, or potentially hurried. And then what are their key pain points that ultimately are causing errors or frustrations? These could be like slow workflows, unclear UI, poor UX writing. You can label a lot of things down. And then as you go down, you break that further into what are these user types, what are the errors that they might run into, and then the user goals and avoidances. So get really specific with this. I've noticed that the more specific you are, the better, and the cleaner and more aligned you'll be with your final recommendations for this project. Step 4 is behavior mapping and workflow analysis. This section is for you to map user flows, to clearly see, where friction is, where potential drop-off points might be. You want to contextualize users' mental states. Are they rushed? Are they multitasking? Are they potentially anxious? And lastly, you want to define exactly what users should do next after these critical tasks. So you don't just want to stop at where are they frustrated. You want to finish the logical sequence for them. They're frustrated, so I'm going to help them with this so that they can achieve that. Now, the next step is UX strategy and design principles. So you finally get to articulate your UX decisions around clear principles. This could be progressive disclosure. This could be clarity over complexity, maybe error prevention, collapsible toggles, you name it. You can get creative with this. But the core piece and the most important piece that I want you to take away from this video is start with strategy. Don't start with UX. I found that the more that I've started with strategy, the deeper and more rooted in logic my UX recommendations are, and they end up being more or less the correct answer. Allow your design to mold around the strategy, and your users will thank you. The next step is a quick step just to make sure that you and your stakeholders are aligned. So I've included a section for the users, what their need is, how your design solution helps them, and then what the outcome looks like. So this is for the users, for the stakeholders, and for the engineers specifically. And lastly, if your app has any AI features, I've included a AI feasibility layer to help you just evaluate some maybe edge cases or things that you might not think about when making this recommendation. So you might have necessity checks, model selections, fallback strategy, and then audibility. These are things that are important and not talked much about within the UX space. So I made sure to include that here as AI becomes more of a reality in our lives. Now, the beauty of this template is that it's not a nice to have, or at least haven't found it to be. It's a new mandatory step that I take for every sprint, every feature, and every discussion. This is one page that's repeatable, that's scalable, that's crystal clear, and helps you align with your team for big results. Now, you might think, Noah, we get it, this is cool, but we have our own templates. What's the point? I get it, but let me ask you this question. Is your current system delivering the results that you want it to? Is it clear enough? Are you and your teams working seamlessly without wasted time or without any wasted iteration? Can your newest hire understand your product vision on day one? If not, your system might not be clear enough. So here's what I want you to do next. Download the strategic UX and product thinking template and implement it in your next UX sprints. See if your alignments increase, if your confusion evaporates, and even if your revenue scales. And if you need personalized help, book a call with my team at Seraphim Studios. We'll diagnose your alignment issues and give you a tailored insight into how you can potentially scale faster with your UX without any chaos or increased dev time. Now remember, top SaaS companies aren't just smarter, they are just more aligned. Now it's your turn. Thanks for watching.